Here we are again at the Mount of Beatitudes, overlooking the ancient city of Capernaum. The Bible says that as the crowds gathered following him at his home city, he moved into the hills above the town and there taught his disciples using the Beatitudes or the Sermon on the Mount. One thing that I didn't realize about all of this was the fact that in those days, 2,000 years ago, this area was a major trade route. People coming from all parts of the continent going to Egypt had to go through this area. This became the area that people came to the Lake of Galilee and turned right and went down the east side of the river on into Egypt. It's actually the same trade route that was in effect when Joseph was betrayed by his brothers and sold as a slave to the caravan of traders that were going to Egypt. That happened just south of here and south of east of here, again on the major trade route. So this was a bustling area in that time of the 2,000 years ago. A lot of activity here and a lot of people from all parts of the world. On top of that, the fame of Jesus had spread throughout the region. Not just in this region, but all the way to Jerusalem and into other areas of the this part of the world. And he had gathered, thousands of people had gathered here to hear his teaching and to take advantage of the miraculous works that he was doing here. This is the area that many of his miracles happened, and when I reflect on the Sermon on the Mount, there are many things in the Blesseds, the Beatitudes, that we strive for and often fall short. Here I am again on the Mount of Beatitudes with the town of Capernaum at the foot of the mountain below on the Sea of Galilee. The Bible says that when the crowds gathered around the town seeking to hear and be part of Jesus' ministry, that he went into the hills beyond the town, and there 5,000 people were treated with the Sermon on the Mount, which began with the Beatitudes. There are many things about the Blesseds of the Beatitudes that I continue to think I need some work on, but the one that especially I think about today is the one that says, "Blessed are you that hunger and thirst for righteousness, for you shall be filled." That word righteousness is something I struggle with sometimes, because I do hunger and thirst for righteousness, but at the same time feel that it's very difficult to achieve. Anybody that knows me knows that I still struggle with things that would be far from being called righteous. But the thing that I cling to today is the promise of God through Jesus that we are made righteous through what he did for us and paid the price for us on the cross. So I claim that today. I claim that righteousness today, not based upon anything that I've done or do, but based upon what Jesus done for me. And I'm so appreciative of that today. Thanks be to God. The Bible says that the disciples made the trip from their home base of Capernaum to Caesarea Philippi, which was a substantial distance north. These are the kind of roads that they would have had to navigate to do so in those days. But they would have had to negotiate through some of these valleys And again, here we are, the end of May. Temperatures approaching 100 degrees. Not sure what time of the year they were traveling, but can you imagine that it was somewhat difficult? The positive part is that it is not very humid and a little bit of breeze, so it doesn't feel terribly bad here today. And this is the kind of place I can imagine that they would have used along the way. Take a little bit of a rest stop, maybe to have lunch, maybe to even set up camp and sleep overnight. This is halfway between Capernaum and Caesarea Philippi. Heading north from Capernaum towards Caesarea Philippi. A lot of mountains and barren land. Coming back south from Caesarea Philippi with the Lake of Galilee ahead of us, I can easily see why this felt good to get back home to the shores of the lake, and why this was a popular spot on the trade route coming from the north, arriving at this beautiful place. See why this juncture would easily have been a very popular place for those traveling the trade routes through this area. Actually, quite possible a very popular place to rest and to restock on supplies. It probably was a major part of the success of Capernaum as a place of commerce where people could rest and restock on supplies. We're now on the east side of the Sea of Galilee. The Bible says that when Jesus and his disciples wanted to escape the crowds, they sailed from Capernaum, which is over there on the other side of the sea, and arrived on this side, where they were greeted by a man with an evil spirit. Jesus cast out the evil spirit of him into the pigs, and the pigs ran off the cliff and drowned here in the Sea of Galilee. Nobody knows exactly where that spot was, but it certainly was at a spot that would be similar to this. Right over there on the west side is where we took our boat ride yesterday. Now on the east side, we're going to travel on south here on the east side of the Sea of Galilee to the south side of the sea, where the Jordan River flows out of the sea. Here we are at the Jordan River, at the designated supposed baptismal site of Jesus on the Jordan River.
People were just walking in the water.
This is the Jordan River, a spot where Jesus may have been baptized with John the Baptist. No one knows that for sure, but this is definitely the Jordan River. And looks like people are taking advantage of the spot, not just as a baptism, but almost as a swimming hole. I did a little exploring, found a little spot down the Jordan River that could just as easily have been the spot where John baptized Jesus. In fact, it would make a lot of sense here because there would be a lot of space up there where the crowds could have gathered to come to John, who was baptizing at that time in the Jordan. A little surprised at the size of the Jordan here. I just had the idea that it might be a little bigger. Anxious to see what it looks like further south as we travel now toward Jericho and the Dead Sea. We will actually follow the Jordan River all the way down, traveling on the west side of the Jordan, which is still Israel, where the other side of the Jordan, at least a little further down here, is actually Jordan, the country of Jordan. Like I say, I like this spot. Basically, the Jordan is there, a nice baptismal pool with all kinds of space here where people could come and gather. Okay, now we are tracking the final 2 weeks of Jesus' life when he left his home in Capernaum and traveled toward Jerusalem, supposedly through Jericho. So we are now traveling along the east side of the Jordan River. I'm sorry, the west side of the Jordan River, but the Jordan River is to my left here. We're following the Jordan River all the way to the Dead Sea and to Jericho. Many people think that the Bible indicates that when Jesus arrived in Bethany prior to Palm Sunday, he came by way of Jericho. So that's what we're doing here today. We're traveling south along the Jordan, following those last 2 weeks of Jesus' life, now heading toward Jericho. Approaching Jericho, it sure is a barren wasteland. Again, as we're coming toward Jericho, I'm amazed at the almost desert-like conditions here. This side of the road is nothing but barren wasteland. This side of the road there are some kind of groves. We haven't been able to figure out what kind of trees these are, but they're harvesting something there because we see these kind of groves all the way down through. We're now in Jericho. Happen to have a sycamore tree here that's hundreds of years old. Definitely doesn't go back to 2,000 years ago, but this is an area where Zacchaeus would have climbed up into the sycamore tree. And this is a sycamore tree here in Jericho that basically commemorates that event. You want to climb the tree there, Grandma?
No, not today.
So these kind of paths would be where Jesus passed by. And Zacchaeus wanted to get above the crowds and climbed up into a tree like this. Nice little area that we're here first thing in the morning, but this would have been a nice place to have coffee last night. I wasn't aware of it then. So today we're going to tour the Mount of Temptation, which is down the street here, and in the background overlooking Jericho. We're going to do that very soon. It opens up at 9 a.m. It's now 7 a.m. so we have 2 hours to wait here and roam around a little bit. We wanted to kill some time until the Mount of Temptation opened, so we decided to have breakfast here in Jericho. Had a little hard time with communication, so we just were pointing at things, and we ended up, like usual, getting a lot more than what we really thought we ordered. But quite an array of stuff here. The hummus there with chickpeas and olive oil, falafel, tea with mint again. But we're going to try and dig in and see what we can do with it. So now we're taking the cable car to the top of the Mountain Temptation. Grandma's all excited about this.
No,
Can't you see that on her face?
no. These are all empty.
Yeah. We are the first people going up this morning,
Yeah.
except for the employees up there.
Yeah.
That is the brief stop.
Oh, is it?
Yes, there are actually 4 sets of, climbing all the way up.
So there are people walking up
Yes.
the
This
Mountain
is
Temptation.
like,
So we spend $20 each to ride the cable car up. Grandma was leery about that, but the alternative would be to walk up like all of those pilgrims, as they call them, are doing. So what do you think? Was the cable car okay?
Yeah, it was okay, but I'll be glad to get back down.
Oh, come on. It was nice. It was nice.
It was okay.
Sure beat walking up, right?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't do
There's
that.
Jericho down below the Mount of Temptation. The guide just explained that Jericho is like an oasis in the middle of the desert. When we were driving in, we seen the desert conditions. It was a lot of nothing. But this is at the Jordan Valley. The Jordan River flows through here. And a lot of vegetation here, a lot of gardens, banana trees, mango trees, and many other things. Down below there's a field that has been harvested, and they have about 100 goats on that brown patch field there that are eating some of the leftover stalks from the harvest. The Mount of Temptation. So Grandma wants to comment about whether or not it was worth $20.
Yes, it was worth $20.
Why?
It was really nice up there. Very scenic.
Better than walking?
No, you wouldn't have caught me walking.
You told me earlier I wouldn't catch you on the cable car.
No.
Wasn't
It's
so
okay.
bad, was it?
It wasn't that bad.
You ready? Zacchaeus, come down.
Hello, hi.
Come down, Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus, come down. Doesn't come down. Can't find him.
He's not
You
coming.
got to yell a little louder.
Zacchaeus, come down.
I
He
don't know where he is.
won't listen to her either.